Okay, we will begin the May meeting for the City of East Peoria's Zoning Board of Appeals. The first order of the agenda is a call to order. Roll call.
Driscoll.
Here.
Whitman. Here. Tippett.
Here.
Sams. Here. Bruner.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
Okay. For next order of business is the approval of the minutes from the meeting held on April 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Troy. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Michael. Okay. First case of the evening is case SU-2024-010. That would be the petition of Richard and Jan Chisholm for a special use to allow an accessory structure in the front yard on property located at 102 Vanaken Court. Property ID number is 01-01-23-301-016. Would the petitioner approach the podium, please? Okay, and Mr. Chisholm. Thank you. And will you, I guess if you're both going to answer, we both raise your right hand. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and then go ahead and explain to the board what, I guess, what has occurred and what you plan to do.
Sure. Yep. So we applied for a building permit for the structure to be put on our property. We then had a pad, a cement pad put down. That also included a little bit of extended of a driveway for that structure. Purchased the structure, and then when it was about to be the building permit, I can't remember his name, he said, oh, we're missing a special use permit. So I came down to apply for that, and that's where we're at. The purpose for the building is mostly going to use it for a workshop, more storage, for stuff that we have in our basement to kind of go up in there, and in a lofted area that I'll build in that structure. I purposely put it where it's at for ease of use for electrical to get there. We just recently had our panel replaced to upgrade for a whole house generator that'll be installed on the 20th of May. So that'll allow for the electrical to go to the new panel on the outside to the structure. Dick has already come out to give us some suggestions on how to get that accomplished. So that's the purpose. I also have a 5x8 trailer that I plan to put in there in the wintertime just to keep the snow off of it and, keep it nice.
Okay, questions for Mr. Chisholm. Tim?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask briefly, have you talked to the city at all about any screening along the sides of the shed to block the view slightly from high view there?
No, but what do you mean by screening per se?
Like maybe some type of bushes or trees that would better screen that shed?
So, yeah, so actually we had to actually cut down 2 trees in the yard. One was a large maple tree that was right on Highview Road. That actually would have helped block some of the view. We planned, because of cicadas, to plant more trees along that line there on Highview Road in the fall. So the other thing I did was, so there's actually 2 trees. So the main where you can see the structure is when you're coming on Highview Road. There's 2 other trees up the front that really kind of partially block. There's a pine tree, and then there's another tree next to it. I have a picture, actually, that maybe help show that, if I could pass that out.
You can, but in our work to prepare for the meeting, we've all had to drive by it.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, everybody
So-
has
so
seen.
you're
yeah.
very well, okay.
We do
okay,
site
okay.
inspections, yes.
Yep,
Thank
yep,
you.
Yep.
So if we made a recommendation for screening, you would be open to that then? Like if we were asking to maybe put some type of like trees a little closer to the shed, closely spaced to help
Trees
block?
or you're thinking like a hedge kind of thing?
Yeah, that would- I think
so
that
you don't
would-
see the base of it? Is that really?
I think that would be a site improvement to screen the base especially.
I could see putting a row of like bushes, on the bottom, kind of where the I'm gonna get man door is.
Sure.
From that side and then around
Yep.
the edge. I could see shrubbery there.
Okay.
We have a lilac bush, and we love lilacs, so I mean that might not be a bad idea just to put some lilacs along there or some other kind of shrubbery. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, okay. Because like arborvitaes or something like that might provide a nice screen, especially over time. So we can see what the rest of the board members think. Thank you.
Michael?
Nope, I was gonna ask about screening, so that's my only comment.
Troy?
No questions.
Don?
No questions.
George?
No questions.
Okay, first question, I want to go back just because I think we didn't bring it up in front of here, I guess we talked about before the meeting. You actually came to the city and asked about putting this shed up, correct? And then right before it was installed or right after it was installed is when you realized that there was a special use process you needed to go through?
So when the building inspector came to inspect it is when we were informed that we needed a special use permit. There was at no time were we informed that we needed a special use permit when I applied for the building permit itself.
Correct. So you had already dealt with several people or a couple people from the city early on?
That's
And no one
correct.
had said, whoa, stop, whatever. Okay.
That is correct.
Just to clarify that the city did go forward with some permission, if you will, before we noticed that it was in the wrong spot. Do you have any plans to get rid of the original shed on the property?
Not at this time.
Okay,
Between the two, I do leave my garden tools in there. I've got, I have I'm gonna say like a, yeah, so I've got a tractor cart that I leave in there, and also have a blade for it, so when for snow removal, that I'm gonna keep in that shed, along with, I have a, what's the right word, leaf catcher,
Okay.
kind of thing.
Sure.
That I wanna leave in that structure to allow other things to go into the other
Okay.
structure.
okay. So the new shed and the other shed, obviously, then you're gonna have two accessory structures on the property. With the new shed, and I think Tim was talking to about, it's not necessarily just the base of it where it's not like flush with the ground. It's big, really big, and you're on a corner, and so I think the screening that we're maybe going to suggest might be something to sort of buffer. I mean, it matches your house very nicely, but again, it's just big.
Right.
And so I think we're probably gonna end up, and it'll come down to the deliberations and whatever, but whatever the motion is we're kind of, I think, going down that line of you putting in some sort of a fairly large, section of bushes of some kind, not just to cover the base of it, but to kind of screen the actual walls as well.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm not sure where it'll land, obviously, because we'll have to have a motion and then a vote and everything, but I think that's just more of an explanation of what we're kind of looking for.
I love arborvitae trays, and actually, if not an arborvitae tray, I was almost kind of thinking of maybe, if you want something like that, a hybrid willow, which also kind of grows not so wide, but sort of tall and quickly. That might be if that's another option.
Right. I think something like that would probably end up being better than like some sort of an ornamental tree or trees,
Sure.
where it's the trunk of the tree that's going to be not masking the side of the building necessarily. So,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any more questions for the petitioners?
So in reading the petition for the special use permit is to allow an accessory structure in the front yard. There's no concerns from the city related to the square footage, because you can have up to 1,250 square foot with two accessory structures,
No,
correct?
the square footage is not exceeded.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that's it. You guys can have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this particular case? Seeing no one? Oh, yes, okay. Okay, you need to approach the podium then and state your name for me.
My name is Beth Freiling.
Hi, Beth, and will you raise your right hand for me?
Yes?
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And Beth, can you spell your last name for me?
Friling.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Beth, go ahead.
As I said, my name is Beth Freiling. I'm the president of the Star Rim Homeowners Association. And we've been contacted by a number of homeowners on Star Rim that have concerns about this accessory structure. We've had a number of complaints. I guess overall, it's quite unsightly. We believe that the way it's placed and the looks, it's degrading property values on Bannock and Star Rim. People have to go by it every day on the way in and out of Star Rim each time they come and go from their home. The way it's placed, it is essentially, it's very large. It's like putting a third car garage add-on without being an add-on, with rather than just being an accessory structure, sitting on wood beams. The structure's placement is not consistent with the home itself. You know, it is an accessory building that's not a house addition. It's closer to the Highview Street than the accessory structure, which is one of the things, if you look at the pamphlet that the city published, is something you're not supposed to do with an accessory structure. Doesn't meet the residential requirements in the pamphlet. I do not have access, I don't have all the detailed setback information, but essentially it looks like a poor man's third car garage. And if we let homes do that across the city, it isn't going to be very attractive. There's ample space to place this structure and or a structure of this size in another place on the lot that would meet the requirements. And the view, I would say, while it could be screened from Highview, the most offensive part of the view is looking straight on when you're on Bannock. It's there, it's got a wooden ramp up to go into it. There's a tree and kind of Kaluge driveway that goes in. It clearly looks like somebody went and got a shed and plopped it in the front yard. And so, you know, we're not very happy about it. We feel it degrades the property values of others in the neighborhood who are trying to take good care of their home. And as a representative of the Homeowners Association, we just like to voice our concern and think it should be done right. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Beth? Okay, you can have a seat. Next.
I do have additional photos also if there's anybody that needs to see them, so.
I guess I do have one question for her.
Yeah.
Is it you made a list of things that it's not complying. Do you have any rules, any HOA rules or anything like that it
The
is not
Star Rim
complying?
is a different, Star Rim would not allow that on Star Rim Drive. The Star Rim Homeowners Association
Okay.
represents Star Rim,
Okay.
not the homes on Bannock, but clearly on Star Rim, you can't even have a backyard accessory structure on Star Rim.
Okay, so you are speaking on behalf of the Homeowner Association of Star Rim, which,
Right.
and this is the gateway to your,
It's a gateway to the
Okay.
homeowner, and we don't expect Star Rim restrictions to be applied to
Understood.
Bannock by any means, but we do expect that the city rules be enforced.
Understood. All right, thank you.
Next.
I'm John Coker. I live on Star Rim, but I also live on Bannock Court. Actually, my house is on Bannock.
Can you raise your right hand for me, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Pardon my voice doesn't work real good either. I'll echo everything that Beth said. Basically, I got a bigger concern in that I don't know how this took so long to get caught. It was built before anybody in our group seemed to know anything about it. It does look funny out there in the middle of the yard. I'm not sure what the setback is doing. Is it off a high view? Is that why the setback
So there's two front yards here. Because you're on a corner lot, you've got a front yard in the Vanaken and then also a front yard towards Highview. So the special use here would be to address that it's in the front yard as it relates to Highview.
Okay. I'm concerned about the size of the, I'll call it a garage because it's big enough to house vehicles. In fact, one day I thought I saw a vehicle in the door.
I've never had my vehicle inside it.
Okay, well, it was a small one. I don't know what it was exactly.
I have a trailer out in front of it all the time.
Yeah, I know, I saw that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the size is probably big enough to house at least one car or truck, maybe two.
Well, not two, definitely one, but that's not what its purpose is for. I have the attached garage for both vehicles, but I do have quite a few tool chests that will be moved from the existing attached garage into that garage, so that we have actually more space for our doors when we are parked in there, because it's cramped.
Can you explain what you're using for the workshop? Is this any business purpose?
No, sir. No, I have hobbies. When we lived in Moline, one of the things I did was I refaced all of our kitchen cabinets. So I had a couple different routers in my garage at that time to reface the cabinets. I do some woodworking. One of my hobbies is 3D printing, so I plan to have some of those out there as well. A lot of 3D prints that I do, I donate.
If you're making comments, they need to be to the board and not the petitioner.
Okay.
I mean, we could bring him back up, but your comments tonight are for us. And so if you've got more comments you'd like to make, they need to be directed to the board.
Well,
Thank you.
like the question about whether it's going to be used for business purposes or not is more of a question.
Excellent question. And the city would have went through that with him. I think the thing here is he came to the city and got the necessary permits. So the fact that it wasn't caught until late was really upon installation when it was, the inspector realized that it was on a corner lot, meaning in his second front yard. And so he followed the procedure up until that point. He'd been in contact with the city and gotten the necessary permits. So it didn't actually go unnoticed.
The other thing is I do have a comment for the board. I'm not sure who the inspector is anymore. I used to see him in the neighborhood all the time, but he hasn't been up there in a while, as far as I know. But on Highview Road and on Vanaken, both streets are getting a little sloppy. People parking on the grass, things that should have been caught inside. There's one truck regularly on Vanaken parks with two wheels up on the curb, in the grass.
Okay, and is this related to this particular case?
No.
Okay, there is another part of the evening where on the agenda it would be the citizens' opportunity to speak on a non-agenda item, so you might want to come back for that particular time if you've got other concerns that don't have to do with this particular case,
No, a lot
okay?
of my questions have been answered. If it's not going to be used for business purposes, and
Perfect.
if it's not going to be used as a garage.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did I see somebody else's hand on this particular case? Okay, please approach the podium. Hello, state your
Hi.
name for me.
My name is Charles Pierman. I live at 143 Star Rim Drive.
Excellent.
in
Will
East
you raise your
Peoria.
right hand for me? And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
Go ahead.
okay. Now, I've lived there at 143 Star Rim for the past 36 years. The neighborhood takes pride in what goes on about us, and we try to cooperate. We are an extension, if you want to really look at Vanaken Court, Star Rim is a private drive. Our only access to Highview is via Vanaken's Court. So we are essentially the same as residents on Vanaken. City does not recognize ours as a city street. Okay. Recently, an unimproved placement of a very large shed or garage at 102 Vanaken Court has caused concern not only to myself, but others have called me. I'm one of the directors for the Homeowners Association, as Beth is the president. The building is very visible from Vanaken's Court. Highview Road, if you're going south, you probably don't notice it. If you're going north, you notice it because you can see the back end of this structure, not attached to the house, yet as large as a garage on that house. And in other words, it looks to us, or to myself, as to avoid putting an addition on my house, I bought this very large shed. It matches it in color, but yet it's sitting there on skids, has to have a ramp to get up into it, and it looks somewhat offensive when you have to drive back every day to go in and out. Every resident, there's 12 homes on Star Rim Drive, plus those in Vanaken's Court. In contrast, a few months ago, I think it was late last year, at the corner of Highview and Illini, a shed was allowed because they did not have room behind their house level enough to put a shed. And the board approved it, made them put up quite a few things for, ferns and stuff to hide it. But it's not a very large shed. This is the size of a single-car garage and not attached. So by comparison, the ones at Highview and Illini appear to have gone through the process properly. This shed was placed before approval, if I'm correct. Yet now we ask, or you are being asked to make an allowance for it. If you haven't seen it, I would ask you to personally go to the drive and take a look at it from the perspective of leaving Vanaken. Would you want it next to you or across the street from you to look at? We have some pictures. I have some pictures on my phone for those of you that might not have seen it, if you'd like to look at them. Beth has brought some pictures, etc. But please do your job. Look at it from the perspective of the neighborhood, not of the fact that somebody wants to do something. He has ample room behind his house, away from view of Vanaken and next to the shed that he already has back there. So that's all I'm asking you to consider. Do your job.
Thank you. Next. Hello, state your name for me, please.
My name is Paul Freiling.
Paul, will you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm also a property owner on Star Rim Drive, which is off of Vanaken. And I wanted to voice my objections to the access structure. It's quite frankly an eyesore, not consistent at all with the primary structure other than the color scheme. It's up on skids, got ramps. It's a different type of construction. And I feel it's a case of the homeowner saving cost for himself at the expense of everybody else's property values. And screening is not a good solution because it's most offensive from Vanaken, in my opinion. And it just, the screening worked pretty good down there at the corner of Highview and Illini. Again, it was a smaller shed. It wasn't right out front. It did a pretty good job there, but it's just not a good solution for this location. The structure needs to be moved to the back of the lot. And yeah, I'm just would ask the board to, put yourself in our shoes and do the right thing here and take care of this problem for us, because it's not a good look up there, and it's going to hurt everybody in the long run. Thank you.
Next, you'll need to approach the podium. Everything's being recorded, so you have to be close to a microphone.
Hi, Jim Stevens.
Thank you, Jim. Will you raise your right hand for me, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go ahead, please.
I live on Notre Dame, 115 Avenue, Notre Dame. I guess I have a technical question. We had moved, and I had sought a permit for a separate structure, and at the time I did that, we were told that if it was 200 square feet or more, it needed a concrete base, concrete slab to sit on. I just assumed that meant the shed, that you poured a slab, and the shed had to be built on and fastened to the concrete, not a building with skids sitting on a concrete pad. I guess I'm just looking for a clarification on that, because
And I don't know that it necessarily the attachment is required, but on the concrete slab is a requirement. But I'd have to defer to our building inspector on that as far as, but that did not come up as an issue.
Because the only thing I would say, I agree with the aesthetics of the thing, but it would be somewhat less, my opinion, somewhat less offensive if it weren't on the skids. And I like the screening idea, by the way. So, but to these folks, as point, I live on Avenue Notre Dame, so, I just see it in passing. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak to the board on this particular case? Okay.
Beth Freiling. Just one additional thing, I think I will just give for the record the photos. I know somebody may have driven by, but if it's been a while and it's hard to remember exactly what the aesthetics look like, here are photos that were taken yesterday for the
Okay.
record.
We've all driven by within the last 2 weeks, yes. We'll continue now with the next case, and that case is V-2024-001. That's the petition of Randall Isbell to allow a front yard setback variance for a privacy fence in the front yard on property located at 111 Oakdale Road. That property ID number is 02-02-19-409-006. You're the petitioner.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Carmaines. Randall Isbell is the previous owner of the house.
Okay, oops. And will you raise your right hand for me and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
And I saw your name on the petition, but will you state it again for Brad, who's taking notes?
Jeff Carmaines. Karr hyphen MAINS.
We will make that correction. Go ahead and explain to the board what you would like to do.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing me tonight. So I live on the corner of Oakdale and Vermont, and through Vermont Street we have a lot of foot traffic, which is fine. But I have 2 dogs, 2 German Shepherds, and I have a 3-year-old little girl, and we would like to put up a privacy fence. Now, for their sakes, we would like to maximize our backyard space for all of them. The code, as it is, only allows us to go 4 feet off the house. I would like to request that we go further from that to allow us to for me to be able to ride my lawnmower, through the through the side of the house and cut and mow the lawn easier. I don't think that 4 feet would actually allow me to do that very well. We have some shrubs on the side of the house. Yeah, also aesthetically, I would like the line of the fence going parallel to Vermont to be sort of flush with where my driveway is. I think that would look a lot better than only being 4 feet off the house. That would there would still be approximately 8 feet of driveway hanging outside of that. So,
Questions for Jeff?
I have no
Tim?
questions.
I have no questions as well.
Troy?
What are you going to do about where it crosses the driveway there? Are you going to put in a gate? Are you going to curve it around the driveway? Is the fence going to go along the side of the driveway so the driveway's all open? What's the plan there across the drives?
so I'd like to completely close it off, and I would like to have a gate on both sides.
Okay. That's all I had.
You may have said it earlier. What kind of fence are you planning to put up?
I'd like to put up a red cedar fence, a privacy fence.
6-foot privacy fence?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So in your, you gave a really nice letter in your packet, and you talked about foot traffic on Vermont.
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, what? I was there for probably about 5 minutes, sitting on Vermont, looking at your yard, and there was a young lady that walked by. So you're right, there's a lot of foot traffic there.
Yes, sir.
Plus, I will tell you, I'm guilty of test driving a vehicle from a local used car lot and going down your road and taking a turn on Vermont as well. So,
Yes, sir.
in my opinion, yes, that fence would be a nice thing to do for your family.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so where you're wanting to put the fences is where you have them post holes dug now?
I have no
Down through
post
there?
holes dug.
Look like there's some kind of holes in a straight line down through there.
Yes, the previous owner decided to put some rocks there, and there were some randomly placed flowers, and I got tired of trying to mow and trim through that, and I didn't like it anyway, so I removed those rocks, and now there's some holes there.
Okay, but there's kind of like a straight line of like off the edge of the driveway, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's
So
pretty
that's
much where I
about
would
where you're
want.
gonna go though?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's about 12 foot from the house, correct?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Okay,
Is that it?
that's it.
I have no questions. I think where you live is secluded enough, I mean, obviously, and if there's enough foot traffic, then, you know, I can see why you'd want to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You can have a seat. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the board on this particular case? Okay. Seeing no one, we will move then to the next, next case, and that's case SU-2024-011. That would be the petition of Saul Espinal for a special use to allow the keeping of chickens on property located at 229 Newman Lane. That property ID number is 05-05-03-203-018. Would the petitioner approach the podium, please? Will you state your name for me?
Yes, Saul Espinal.
And will you raise your right hand for me and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead and explain what has occurred and what you would like to do.
The city has recently approved a pilot program for chickens, and I wanted to, and I applied for that program, and I have a coop that and a run that fits the parameters of that pilot program, and I want to continue to be able to have our chickens that we currently have there right now. And I sent a packet with an Excel sheet with snapshots and pictures, and also a letter stating what those parameters are.
Questions for Mr. Espinal? Tim?
I have none.
Michael?
I have none as well.
Troy?
How many chickens do you currently have?
14.
14? That's all I have.
Don?
I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
George?
No questions.
What is the lifespan of a typical hen?
5 to 6 years, but 3 years is the life is what you get out of eggs out of the chicken. Sorry, so about 3 years they stop producing eggs or decrease producing eggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this particular case? Okay, approach the podium, please. And state your name for me.
Jack Baugh.
And will you raise your right hand for me and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Excellent, go ahead.
Okay, so my name's Jack Baugh. I'm co-owner of the 3.6 acre home at 409 Newman Drive in East Peoria. Even though our property has a paved Newman Drive street mailing address, the petitioners, Saul Espinal's home at 229 Newman Lane, directly faces our property on the gravel road-based Newman Lane side of our property. A little history here. My wife and I bought our home in June 2010. During our 14 years of home ownership, we have worked incredibly hard, harder and longer than perhaps anyone else in the city of East Peoria, on a virtually non-stop basis to rehabilitate our home from its previous twice abandoned state under previous homeowners to significantly increase its appearance. To our and our neighbors' benefit, we also work with the city of East Peoria to proactively change the location and type of barricade just outside our Newman Lane driveway from a large, ugly, largely impassable, dirt mound-based barricade with industrial highway-sized metal road barriers to a greatly improved, much more friendly and attractive road ends barrier, which allows pedestrians, bicyclists, parents with small children, etc., easy and safe north-south travel on the gravel road-based Newman Lane. This also added value to our home and to the neighborhood. Considering our home is our primary and largest investment, and it is common knowledge that upscale single-family homes are valued higher than farm-type properties, my wife and I are also very, very strongly opposed to the city of East Peoria allowing the petitioner to raise farm animals, namely chickens, directly across the street from our home in the city, because allowing that would significantly devalue our property and destroy the effort we've made over the last 14 years to rehabilitate and invest in our home and the surrounding traditional domestic non-farm animal hosting single-family neighborhood. Moreover, unlike domesticated animals like dogs and cats, I have come to very much dislike the noise that comes from the petitioners clucking chickens. Dogs and cats don't do that, which I've only recently had to endure. As most people know, wild animals that live in the surrounding area, like foxes that reside in our area, are attracted to chickens and could easily be attracted to nearby domesticated animals like cats and dogs. Excuse me while I'm editing my own comments here online. Just as a reminder for the Planning and Zoning Committee, despite my previous objections at prior East Peoria Planning and Zoning Committee and Council meeting, my Peoria police officer neighbor, one of them, a co-worker of the petitioner here, started construction on his oversized barn, which only after I alerted the city of East Peoria to them breaking ground on a new building, this individual was forced to go through the process of obtaining a building permit for his barn. Thus, I am very concerned that if the city allows a petitioner to raise chickens, especially 14 of them, well beyond what the city even recommended, that my second Peoria police officer neighbor, who has a much larger house, barn, and chicken signs in his yard promoting the raising of chickens, will follow. More recently, even though the petitioner in this case is also a Peoria police officer and should know and follow local laws and ordinances, he and his Peoria police officer neighbor started constructing a chicken coop in Saul's backyard without obtaining a building permit, as all other East Peoria citizens must do. Worse, even though the city of East Peoria specifically prohibited homeowners from having chickens, the petitioner somehow worked with City of East Peoria officials to change the existing ordinance that disallowed chickens to allowing them. One must wonder why or how the City of East Peoria would change their existing ordinance for my Peoria police officer neighbors. Thus, for the aforementioned reasons, I am very strongly opposed to the petitioner's request to raise farm chickens directly across from our home in East Peoria, which we've worked very hard to improve over the last 14 years. Instead, I respectfully request the City of East Peoria simply follow the previously established, well-thought-out ordinance to disallow the raising of farm animals like chickens in the city, because it would clearly decrease the value of our home. I think all you have to do is take a look at our home and understand that there's a chicken coop right across the street from our property, and with my other Peoria police officer neighbors' huge sign in his yard promoting the raising of chickens, it's only a matter of time before he too has an enormous amount of chickens in their yard. And I don't want Newman Lane to be known as the chicken lane of East Peoria where we live. That's all I have.
Okay. Okay, state your name for me.
Leslie Baugh.
Okay, and will you raise your right hand for me? And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I had not intended on speaking today, so I did not know what Jack is my husband, by the way. I'm at 409 Newman Drive, which faces directly the petitioner's property on Newman Lane, based on the kind of cockeyed nature of our home. So I did not know what Jack was going to say, so I had some notes. So I noticed he didn't say a couple things that I had thought of, so I thought I'd pop up and share. So just a couple things to clarify. I didn't have time to compile things, but I had glanced through the packet that was submitted to the city, and just a couple of points of clarification or questions. What Saul said about describing his property, he said to the north and west, his property is the wood line to Tazewell County, and a couple times mentions that it's county wood line. And my understanding, based on the GIS, which I did have a chance to print out today, it's city. Even though it is a wood line, it's yellow, which is R1 residential. So, it's unfortunate that I don't know when our properties were zoned. It's obviously highly unfortunate that Newman Lane is zoned the way it is, that a lot of people are in county, a lot of people are in conservation. There's even some city down here. These are city. It's just, obviously, I'm sure it makes your job a challenge, and we've only been encountering this a couple times ourselves with these neighbors. But just those points of clarification that it apparently is not county, it is city wood line. So part of his property faces or backs up to someone who's in the conservation district, and also the city wood line as well. And then one other point of clarification was I noticed that the city's pilot program about keeping chickens, which, I guess we're kind of opposed to that whole concept anyway, but in the city, that I noticed the comment, it says that runs and coops must be completely enclosed by wire mesh. And I noticed that Saul had said that his were completely enclosed. To me, completely means a top as well. I don't know what you meant by completely, but to me, completely means length, width, height. And from the pictures, it does not look like, and because we've seen chickens that have flown out, I assume there's no top. From the pictures, it looks like it would need to be much higher for someone to walk in. So is that what the city intended by completely, so that chickens would not get out and fly around, which we have seen? So that was just another question I have. And then, let's see, any other additional thoughts? When we bought this property, and again, this is, primary investment, put a lot of money into it, cleaned it up. What we've done to the property increases property values in the neighborhood. And, we all bought, the two properties across from us on Newman Lane that we recently had issue with the barn being built. When we bought the property, we never imagined that, we all knew it was conservation district and there were rules, and we followed rules and expected those to be followed. So to have both neighbors across from us building these things without, at least as far as we know, without any approval initially, starting to build a huge barn without approval, building completely a chicken coop, the petitioner, with water and everything without, as far as we know, without approval and or permits. I totally understand them wanting to have chickens. I think, who knows what's coming down the pike, and we all should have chickens and farms. But it seems if they knew they wanted to build barns and chickens, it seems like they should have bought property in the county. So we are just concerned about our property value. We, as being real estate brokers ourselves, we know, different property values from farm type property and city property, and we just believe that this, and unfortunately, we don't have 5 or 6 people that can come talk with us because we're the only property that faces these folks. So if there were more properties, and then, again, the properties down the road are in the county, and they don't, because they're the county, they want to be able to do all of this themselves too. So, it's unfortunate that it's just us, but, the question is too, when the slippery slope stops. They build things, then ask for permission later. The rules say 5 chickens. They want to ask for 14. Then the neighbor will want chickens. Then will they want goats or cows? I don't want to be ridiculous, but what else will come? When are the rules followed? And when, how much? And then, well, now we have this, and just when does it stop? Let's see. Was that it? And again, we just believe the improvements we made have increased property values, not just ours, well, we hope, but the neighbors as well. And we just believe that the barns and the chicken coops decrease property values. So again, we're just concerned about our property value because we want to be able to recoup the investment that we have put into our property and not have it be a farm, to Jack's point, kind of a farm atmosphere across the way. I think that may be it. Thank you.
Ty, can you clarify about the chicken coop structure?
So the code does say completely enclosed. It does not specify if that means top or not. Complete closure, I think it's something we probably need to check with the city attorney's office on as far as.
I would have interpreted it to mean that the chickens can't leave their property.
Correct. It's to contain them. Yes.
Right. Okay. Any further comments? And the next 2 cases are petitions by the city of East Peoria. So we will backtrack here a little bit and we will go ahead and do deliberations on the 3 cases that have petitioners here. And then we will pick up where we left off with the last 2 cases. So we've got the first one, SU-2024-010. That is the petition of Rich and Jan Chisholm at 102 Vanaken Court. And I will go ahead with the questions. Will the establishment, maintenance, and operation of the proposed special use permit be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
No.
No.
Will the proposed special use permit be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for uses permitted in the district?
Possibly.
No.
No.
Possibly. Will the proposed special use permit diminish or impair property values within the surrounding neighborhood?
No.
Possibly.
Possibly. Will the establishment of the proposed special use permit impede the orderly development or improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the subject zoning district?
No.
No.
R, have adequate utilities, access, roads, drainage, or other necessary facilities to be or been provided?
Yes.
Yes.
R, have adequate measures to be or been taken to provide ingress and egress from the site, minimizing traffic congestion and hazards on public streets?
Yes.
Yes.
Will the proposed special use permit conform to all other applicable regulations of the zoning district?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Comments?
Just one. I know the special use was brought up later, but to the detriment of our own doing, I guess, the Just want to make it clear that the permit that he sought was given and granted for the structure that he constructed. The special use didn't come up until after it was constructed, is that correct?
Yeah, it
So-
was a point of inspection.
Right, at the point of inspection. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all aware that that was the case, that it was not underhanded or put up without the proper paperwork and the permitting and stuff being done first. So I just want to make sure that was clear before we took a vote on it. So.
Ty, from my own understanding, if this lot did not have the second front yard on Highview Court and this structure was placed where it is currently, let's say that there was a lot next to theirs, so that was, they would have a side yard with another neighbor next to them, would this be a non-issue?
No, there's nothing here that would have triggered a special use review.
Okay. So it's just the Highview Court?
It's because
Sorry, it's just the Highview road.
Because
The
it has
fact is you got two front yards.
Correct.
Because it's in the front yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Because it's a corner lot.
Because it's in the front yard of Highview.
So the shed could have been there had there been a neighbor on the other side.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Yes. One question I have, Ty, it was brought up a little bit, the setbacks off of Highview, it doesn't encroach on those, does it?
No.
Okay. And my only comment, my only concern, my only question, and I think the last gentleman that spoke, it may have been Mr. Stevens, was it being on skids and being up high, and I'm not sure why that is. That was the first thing I noticed when I drove by, was that it was elevated. It looked like it was a temporary structure, not a permanent structure. So at this point, that's just a comment.
you're all looking at me, and I can't make a motion.
Wait a minute, can I ask? So, is there any way to enclose the bottom of the shed for it looks like it's not on sheds, and put like something other than a wood
So,
ramp into it?
actually, that's one of the things I want to do is put lattice on the bottom and paint it brown, just like, the rest of that bottom, so that the skids are not visible at all. It's the same thing I had done with the deck I had in Moline, just to kind of give it like a skirt, so to speak, so you don't see the skids, and then paint it the same brown that the bottom portion of that building is done. That was one of the things I was planning to do, not do anything permanent until I have a decision here.
So what about the ramp? Is there anything you can do about the ramp?
Yeah, so I could paint the ramp, a brown as well, if be more pleasing, or any other color. But or an almond, the same as the siding of the house, and the lap siding of either one. I think either one of those colors would look better than the wood, the untouched wood. The reason for the ramp, there's, it needed to have something, and they sell those ramps for the purpose of being able to get something into those structures.
Right.
But is there any way it can be taken off of the skids and placed on the concrete directly?
I asked that question, and I don't know if they can. I honestly don't know if the skids can be taken off. Now, if they are taken off, then it becomes a permanent structure.
Right.
So I didn't think that was going to be relevant to the building itself.
What would it take to pour a concrete ramp there?
Money. I mean,
Right.
The other thing I could do is the way I had the driveway, kind of curve, where it's hanging off a little bit, I could cut that so that it actually meets the same curvature of the concrete that's there, which may make it look a little more presentable. But painting it might be a good option too. The fact that it's wood, I don't know if that really makes a difference between that and being concrete.
Right.
Well, I do like the idea of it being taken off of the skids completely. I was just re-looking at the pictures here, and that was the first thing I noticed. And I'm curious, why it was done that way?
It's the way they're built.
Okay, it's just the way they're built.
Yeah, absolutely. All of these buildings, I purchased this from Martin Building, that's right there, out there at Farm and Fleet. Yep. And when I built it, I also built it with the heavy-duty floor because just recently I was working on my garden tractor to install the blade, so I had lots of room in there to be able to work on it. Plus, I was able to take the deck off without having to be out in my driveway,
sure.
Inclement weather. I have a covered structure where I could do something with it. Plus, high enough that it's not higher than the house. It's definitely, not as high as the house, but with enough sidewall that I can actually have shelves on the side for things to put on. Plus, a loft on the back side.
What size is the building?
It's 16 by 24.
Okay.
I think part of the key here for me is that if this wasn't a corner lot, this could still be in the neighbors' opinions an eyesore, and there'd be nothing that they would be able to do about it. This is just a personal choice on the homeowner's part. The fact that it's a corner lot is the only reason we've gotten involved. Correct? Okay. Does somebody want to try a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve this special use permit, SU 2024-010, with the conditions that the petitioner will cover and paint the skids to make it further aesthetically pleasing, and then also to screen the high view side of the structure and submit a plan to the city for approval for that.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote?
Driscoll.
Hang on there.
No, sir.
It goes. Does this go to the city? You might want to.
So, no further comments are allowed. We're actually in the middle of a motion, but tonight is simply an approval that this petition goes to city council, and so the city council will actually have to take a vote on it, and it will be read in front of the public and laid for 2 weeks for public comment and then voted on. So it won't be a once and this isn't a once and done kind of thing this evening. Does that help at all? Okay.
Okay.
Great.
I'm good.
Driscoll.
Thank you. Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Tippett.
No.
Sams.
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Okay. Petition passes. You will, it will go to city council, and I believe your first will be a week from tomorrow night at the city council meeting in this room. So it's Tuesday, 6 o'clock, and it'll be a week from tomorrow.
Are we able to leave?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, I need my glasses. Okay. Next case is V-2024-001, and that's the petition of Jeffrey Carr Maines at 111 Oakdale Road, and that is for a fence, front yard setback variance for a fence. Will a significant hardship result to the owner if the strict letter of the regulations are carried out, given the particular physical surroundings, shape, or topographical conditions of the property?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd say no. Is it an inconvenience to the property owner to follow the regulations of the ordinance?
Yes.
I'd say yes. Is the variance requested based upon the uniqueness of the property?
Yes.
Okay. Is the variance based exclusively on the desire to make more money out of the property?
No.
Will the variance be injurious to the other property or improvements in the neighborhood?
No.
No.
Has the alleged difficulty or hardship been created by any persons presently having an interest in the property and thus self-imposed?
No.
No.
Will the proposed variation impair the adequate supply of light and/or air to the adjacent property?
No.
Will the proposed variation increase the congestion of the public street?
No.
No.
Will the proposed variation create additional traffic safety problems?
No.
Will the proposed variation increase the danger of fire to adjacent structures?
No.
No.
Will the proposed variance substantially diminish or impair property values within the immediate neighborhood?
No.
No.
Will the variance be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
No.
No.
Would the variance request be generally applicable to other properties within the immediate area?
No.
No. Maybe.
Okay. Discussion, or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve case V dash 2024-001 as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Tim and Michael. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Tippett.
Yes.
Sams.
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
All vote in favor.
Motion carries, and this does not go to city council. So, Jeff, so this does not go to city council, so you've been approved, you're done,
Just come in and get your permit for the fence.
okay?
Happy fence building.
Okay, we will now do deliberations on case SU-2024-001, and that is the petition of Saul Espinal at 229 Newman Lane for the keeping of chickens. Will the establishment, maintenance, and operation of the proposed special use permit be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
No.
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 Will the proposed special use permit be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for uses permitted in the district?
No.
No.
Maybe. Will the
Maybe.
proposed special use permit diminish or impair property values within the surrounding neighborhood?
No.
No.
Will the establishment of the proposed special use permit impede the orderly development or improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the subject zoning district?
No.
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 Or have adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, or other necessary facilities to be or been provided?
Yes.
Yes.
Or have adequate measures to be been taken to provide ingress and egress from the site, minimizing traffic congestion and hazards on public streets?
Yes.
Yes.
Will the proposed special use permit conform to all other applicable regulations of the zoning district?
Yes.
Yes.
Question I have for Ty, does this, so we talked about this, maybe it was last month, and I assume this property meets all the requirements in terms of the zone conservation?
As far as the zoning and the size of the property is.
Yes, and the size of property. So it meets all of the requirements to come before us for a special use?
Yes.
Except for one, right? The number of chickens?
Number of chickens, yeah, we do need to get a confirmation on the enclosure
Yeah,
requirement.
we need to address that.
How many permits did we vote on to allow in the city of East Peoria? 10?
10.
Yeah,
Is
up
it
to
10?
10.
Okay.
in the
And
pilot
there's
program.
100 properties potentially that are,
Yeah, around 100 that are
applicable for
privately
the-
held.
Okay. So discussion, or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve case SU-2024-01 with the conditions to bring down the chickens to the total number of 5 allowed, and pending Ty's confirmation on the enclosed requirements for the top.
Do you want to add in a time frame on when they need to reduce the number of chickens?
I would say within 6 months.
I would second that.
Okay, I'll go with it.
I'll second.
Okay?
It is bringing the number of chickens down to 5 to 6 months, and pending the.
If enclosure means top, then
Yeah, if the enclosure means they have to have a top cover, then they will conform and have a top cover,
And I would include that within the 6 months.
okay?
Can I answer that real quick?
Would
You want to approach the microphone, though, so anybody listening or watching can hear you?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I don't know how this process goes, but the coop and the run are completely enclosed. Sometimes I open the door to the run to allow the chickens to come out to a fenced-in area. That's a 4-foot fenced-in area. Sometimes, some of them fly out and walk in the wood lines and then come back in the evening. So, but the coop and run, are completely enclosed.
So I guess we just need a better definition of what actually has to be completely.
Yeah,
confirm that.
I think our interpretation is that at any point in time, the chickens can't leave your property. And so that is something that Ty is going to have to get clarification on, and then he would communicate with you. Our motion is basically, after you get that clarification, that you would comply, and that we're giving you 6 months to comply and reduce the number of chickens.
Absolutely.
And I apologize, we didn't come up with the 5 chicken rule, and
Yeah.
some of us didn't even want any chickens, so we're stuck with, obviously, some of us that didn't want chickens, we still have to go by what the city council voted on.
No, absolutely.
And they had suggested 5, so that didn't
Absolutely.
come from us.
But this will go to the city as well, correct?
Yes.
So he can
Yeah.
come to the city and discuss that with the city council.
Correct,
members
so
as
city
well.
council and the mayor could hear your plea to keep a number of extra chickens, and that would be beyond our control.
Absolutely.
I-
Understood.
Just a comment. I would be cautious about when they're free roaming, because my fear would be that you could potentially be cited for violation of your special use permit, and then
Yes.
that could be up to probably and including revocation of your special use permit to
Yeah.
allow for your chickens. So you're going to want to make sure, most likely, to keep them contained, but I'll let you
Exactly.
take that up with the city.
I just have to leave the coop or the run closed, and that's
Sure.
it, and that solves that issue. Yeah.
And I think Tim had even brought this up before, that we would review the new chicken ordinance
Right.
in like 6 months or something, to make sure that the people who we've granted permission are complying, and that this is manageable, I guess. So that's kind of part of our checks and balances on this. So
Absolutely.
we have a motion and a second.
Who made the second?
Pardon?
Who made the second?
I did.
Sam's.
Let Troy do it.
Okay, roll call vote.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Tippett.
Yes.
Sam's.
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Motion passes, and it'll go to city council.
Next Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, we are on to case A-2024-006, and that's the petition of the City of East Peoria to amend City Code 5-10-3 with respect to special uses within the M2 Manufacturing District General Zoning Classification. Ty, are you our petitioner?
I am.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, and go ahead and explain what you are wanting to do.
So this seems like a rather minor clarification, but in our code, when you talk about materials processing, there really wasn't a distinction made between concrete, gravel, and so the cement and concrete used interchangeably quite often, but not necessarily the same item. So the proposal here provides an opportunity to give a little clarification that those are both processing items that do require a special use. Pretty simple distinction, but one that we thought needed to be
Okay.
made.
Questions for Ty? Tim?
I have none.
Michael?
None.
Troy?
I have none.
Don?
None.
George?
None.
I have none. Next case is case V-2024-002. That is the petition of the City of East Peoria on behalf of Camp Street Crossing LLC to allow a 3-foot front yard setback variance for a parking lot / driveway on property located at 705 West Camp Street. Property ID number is 01-01-29-401-033. Ty, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do,
And
again.
go ahead and explain.
So this is an unusual case in that this is not city-owned property, but this is a part of a intersection negotiation. So the city is improving the intersection with Camp and Riverside, and as a part of that discussion, there is a property that's immediately adjacent. Right now, currently has Batteries Plus. The property owner has indicated that they would like to make sure that they can maximize future flexibility for the property. Given that it sits at the corner of a signalized intersection, it is conceivable that it could become a restaurant that needs a drive-through. And as they look at their property layout and the property that the city is looking to acquire as a part of the intersection improvement, they wanted to make sure that they were able to still preserve the opportunity for a drive-through. And in the analysis done by their engineer, they determined that they need a 3-foot setback variance to allow for a drive-through, should one be needed at some point. This is not an eminent thing, but it's not hard to imagine that somewhere down the line that might make sense to be a restaurant.
Questions for Ty? Tim?
I have none.
Michael?
None.
Troy?
I have none.
Don?
So Batteries Plus is not putting in a drive-through?
Correct.
I thought that's what they were
no
doing.
Batteries Plus drive-through. The owner of the property is different than the current tenant there, but this is certainly not, because of the nature of the intersection improvement, this is not a self-imposed hardship.
Sure. So they sold property to the city to have more of a
Correct.
right-of-way? Is that
Correct.
what happened?
To
How much
facilitate-
How much do they sell? How many feet, do you know?
I don't know offhand,
Okay.
but there was kind of a sliver that went all the way across the front of the property
Okay.
because the intersection is being expanded. It's improvement of the turning radius is there.
So this 3 feet is only into the setback. It is still on their side of the property line?
Correct. Correct. It'll still be, the drive-through lane will still be 7 feet off the property line, which still gives them an opportunity to have landscaping and whatnot along there.
That's all I had. Thanks.
George?
So the property that they own is the one that goes all the way under the flyover?
Correct. It goes underneath the bridge there, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, I have no questions, so we will go ahead and move back to case A-2024-006, and that is the city amending code 5-10-3 to, I guess, further define concrete, cement, and special uses within the M2 manufacturing district general zoning classification. We don't have a sheet on that. Is there any discussion, or do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve case A-2024-006 as presented.
Thank you, Troy.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second was Don. Okay. Roll call vote.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Tippett.
Yes.
Sams.
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
All in favor.
Okay, and then we'll move on with case V-2024-002, and that is the City of East Peoria on behalf of Camp Street Crossing LLC for a 3-foot setback variance.
Does this need to be presented, see if anybody wants to discuss it?
Oh, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on this particular case? Thank you, Don.
Never mind.
Don gets a star for Robert's Rules of Order, and I do not. Okay, will a significant hardship result to the owner if the strict letter of the regulations are carried out, given the particular physical surroundings, shape, or topographical conditions of the property?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it an inconvenience to the property owner to follow the regulations of the ordinance?
Yes.
Yes.
Is the variance requested based upon the uniqueness of the property?
Yes.
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 Is the variance based exclusively on the desire to make more money out of the property?
Yes.
Correct. Will the variance be injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood?
No.
No.
Has the alleged difficulty or hardship been created by any persons presently having an interest in the property and thus self-imposed?
No.
No.
Will the proposed variation impair the adequate supply of light and/or air to adjacent property?
No.
No.
Will the proposed variation increase the congestion of the public street?
No.
Will the proposed variation create additional traffic safety problems?
Yes.
Yes. Will the proposed variation increase the danger of fire to adjacent structures?
No.
No.
Will the
No.
proposed variance substantially diminish or impair property values within the immediate neighborhood?
No.
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 Will the variance be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
Yes.
No.
No.
Will the variance request be generally applicable to other properties within the immediate area?
No.
No.
Okay. Any comments or questions? No, I have one for Ty then. And based on the fact that some of us have answered that it will it will create additional traffic safety problems. At the time that a business would go in there and want to add the drive-through lane, what involvement does the city have with that sort of thing?
So it'd be based upon what sort of traffic generation is anticipated there, what sort of an increase. Certainly, a restaurant is going to have a little different traffic pattern than the current use does. But we'd look at, can the intersection handle the capacity that's going to be required? I mean, right now, it does handle quite a bit of capacity from the other leg.
Yeah, it does.
This would be a matter of what's there based upon what comes out of Camp Street Crossing right now, would that be able to be accommodated, or would any sort of changes be required for the intersection?
And if changes were required to the light sequence, is that something that the city controls?
Yes.
Okay. More questions?
To be clear, my concerns is not about the traffic and access with the interchange. It's more of proximity to the roadway. So I feel like it's a little dangerous there. Currently as it sits, I'd say there's not enough room, let alone expanding the roadway. But that's my personal opinion.
There will also be a hiking, biking trail in here too,
Yeah.
In that,
in that same stretch.
Well, the shape of the road
Between-
right there, you can't go over 10 miles an hour anyway, so.
between the Batteries Plus parking lot and the street, there's going to be.
Correct,
a road?
and there'll be a crossing that goes across. So there are changes that are occurring to that intersection configuration. Right now, it has a bit of a flare to it, which is unusual. Typically, you see that in a deceleration, not an acceleration lane.
Right.
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
So I will make a motion to approve case V-2024-002 petition of the city of East Peoria on behalf of Camp Street Crossing to allow 3-foot yard setback. I do want to emphasize this is for parking lot and driveway only and nothing else, no buildings, no structures, that kind of thing, which I think is clear already, but I think that's very important. And I certainly think that starts creating an issue if you have buildings up in there. So I'm okay with the parking lot driveway, and we'll see if everybody else is.
I'll second it.
You said, hey, sorry, just, so you said for parking lot and driveway, did you mean drive-through?
Well, it's, what I'm saying, it can be for pavement, for parking, or driving, or, yeah, drive-through,
1040.
driveway. I don't want
Fair.
them to expand the building out to that spot, and that's not what this is for, but I want to clarify that
All
it
right.
would not be for that.
I understand. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
Okay, we have a motion, so we'll go ahead and vote then? Okay?
Driscoll.
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Tippett.
Yes.
Sams.
Yes.
Bruner.
No.
Kelly.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes and,
So, one question I had, and I think this is maybe where Gina was coming from, and I didn't understand the answer. So when this happens, they can just do it now, right? This does not have
Correct.
to come back before
Correct.
us.
This is kind of a variance in advance.
Okay.
and a variance doesn't go to city council, correct?
Correct.
So it ends here. Okay, that finishes our deliberations. Do we have any old business? And do we have any new business? Nope.
I just wanted to mention that we did talk about this briefly, but we have an open house, our first open house for our comprehensive plan this Thursday here in the atrium between the library and City Hall from 4 to 7. Anybody and everyone is invited to come offer their opinion, feedback. It's, as the name implies, comprehensive. It's everything from healthcare to education to transportation to land use. We have not had a fully revised comprehensive plan in 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's exciting to have one done. It's a PGAV out of St. Louis is doing the work for us with the Regional Planning Commission involved. So we're excited about that. But this will be the first of at least a few open houses to come up throughout the summer and into the fall.
And that's here in this building from what time?
4 to 7 Thursday night.
4 to 7 Thursday night, okay. And then, because I'm not going to get the exact title of it right, can you tell us what's going on Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock here at the building?
Brad's got a better handle on it than I do.
Is there like an official name for a memorial service? I don't want to get it wrong.
It's a
but-
police memorial service. I don't know that there's.
Okay. Good enough. Okay, police memorial service Wednesday at 3 o'clock here.
Here in Levy Park, or if the weather is not permitting, then it'll be down at the festival building.
Correct. Okay, I'll be here. Okay, thank you. That would be old business, new business, and then next would be the citizens' opportunity to address the ZBA on non-agenda items. Is there anyone who wants to address the, okay, approach the podium, please. And go ahead and raise your right hand.
I'm back.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, and go ahead and restate your name for Brad.
Okay, Leslie Ball.
Okay.
B-A-U-G-H. I hadn't, again, anticipated talking at all tonight. Now look at me. So just having, with what we encountered recently and tonight and what these folks have encountered, just it kind of triggered some thoughts that I wanted to share for whatever it's worth. I'm sure it is worth not much, if anything. You know, the recent, I wish I had been at the zoning meeting before the big pole barn was approved in the other property across from us. But we did try to fight at city council against it because we do believe, and I'm surprised that you all said that having chickens wouldn't lower property values. I mean, because it's just a real estate principle that, I mean, just a farm property is a different property value. Just obviously frustrated, and I can hear their frustration too, that, you know, there are codes and ordinances for a reason. That's why there are some, I presume. I've not been involved in this before this whole barn issue in January. I've not been involved in all of this, so this is new to me. Oh, sorry, I keep doing that. This is new to me. But just very disappointed in the whole process, why are there codes and ordinances and maybe you don't approve a lot of them, but my limited experience seems like everything kind of just gets approved, no matter how many people. I don't know. It's just very frustrating. You know, like part of our against the pole barn issue, city council members would say things like, "Well, it fits the neighborhood," or you know, because we tried to show there are already 3 barns right there on another property that we believe were not approved, that were more than were allowed, and the city's response, instead of the response being one of, "Oh gosh, those shouldn't have been approved, so we really shouldn't approve this one," the response was, "Oh, there's already lots of barns. What's another barn?" It's just very frustrating and disappointing. Again, I'm just off the cuff here. And then with regard to the chicken coop that you approved tonight, they built the coop, the run, again, we believe without any approval. So it kind of seems like there's a reward, you know, do whatever you want and ask forgiveness later. Or if there are only, I believe there are only 10, is that correct? 10 chicken properties being approved, would this have been one if he hadn't already built the coop? Because he built the coop, ran all, and now is asking forgiveness and permission later, he might not have been one of the 10 properties. You may have approved 10 other properties.
The chicken coop is actually a case from tonight, and you had the opportunity to speak on that particular case.
Well,
my title says Citizens' Opportunity to Address ZBA on Non-Agenda Items. So maybe talk in terms of general frustration with the city or the ZBA.
Okay.
But that particular case is kind of done.
Okay, well, that's part of the general, the barn, chicken, whatever the neighbors across from us want to do, they just do it and ask forgiveness later. And, you know, just from the 2 city council meetings that I attended regarding that issue, you know, city council members were saying, it's your property. You want to build a structure on your property? My opinion has always been, you want to do it, that's your right. Everyone may not agree with it, and that's okay, but it's your property, do what you want. This is a quote, "I don't see why I should have a right to tell you that you can't do that." That was Seth Mingus. Mike Sutherland, "It's your property, as far as I'm concerned, you can pretty much do what you want to do." other discussions about roads. Evidently, our road, or that Newman Lane Road, is now considered a private road. The city used to maintain it. I don't even know all the intricacies there. Again, Mingus, I think he has the right to build his structure, and he can put it wherever. We, like these folks, asked for just some reasonable modifications that would have been beneficial to us as a homeowner, like they did, asking, why don't you put it at the back of the property? Why does it have to be at the front of the property? How about turning it around so that a more aesthetically pleasing side is facing us? And so just hearing these folks kind of expressing the same frustration is just, I don't know what else to say. It's just frustrating. Again, it just seems like the lesson we're learning is do whatever you want. On your own property. Well, this is what they all said. They said, do whatever you want on your own property. So maybe that's what we'll do too. I just don't even, other than all of us coming and asking for consideration for our own property, we're trying the best we can to better the city and to keep property values high. And it's just, even if you guys do approve it or don't approve it, it goes to the city council and they do what they want anyway. And I understand partially the process, but it's frustrating.
And I think we're a little bit between a rock and a hard place where the ordinances are the ordinances, and when someone has bypassed them and went ahead and done something, it's one thing, and we don't want to be, overly punitive, but it's also another where they've already worked with the city in attempting to get a building permit and some other things. So out of our control, we've got people who've already worked with the city, and then the building inspector catches it, then it comes to us. And so anytime a citizen of East Peoria wants to do something that's not in line with the ordinances, there are processes, and the special use process is one of them. That's when we get involved. And again, we're just doing the best I think we can to make East Peoria a better place, but to follow not only the ordinances, but then the processes for special approval.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Yes, that's what I was hoping you would. Somebody else would say something.
First of all, I appreciate you all being here. This is what this process is all about. Okay, there's going to be two sides to a lot of these things, and I appreciate you being here instead of doing other things that you could have done, like complaining on Facebook or whatever the case may be. So you're doing your part, you're being proactive. One of the neat things about the special use process is that it is a two-step process, okay? We have approved things here before, and then the city council, for whatever reason, has gone against us, and we have disapproved things here before where they have approved them. A lot of it has to do with who comes to discuss as well. So I would recommend that you guys, again, just like here, you will have two opportunities to talk to the city council. You'll be able to talk about things that are on the agenda, and then at the end, I think they do the exact same thing where you can talk about things that are not a part of the agenda. So if the process itself, like you're talking about right now, you can bring that up to the city council as well. So
we did.
That's one of the good things about the special use process is that it is a two-step process. So you have one other, next Tuesday you can come back and discuss it again.
Yes, and we did that. And so.
I understand. Yeah, yeah, I understand.
We did that multiple times. It's just disappointing, disheartening,
I recommend
frustrating.
You do it again. Yeah.
Oh,
I know what you mean.
Done it. So, okay.
I know
Thank
what you
you.
mean. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the ZBA on a non-agenda item? Okay, approach the podium. And go ahead and restate your name for me.
My name is Paul Freiling.
Thank you.
Yes.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, just in case?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm reading item 5 from right off the city's website. Requirements. The construction of an accessory structure having in excess of 150 square feet must be consistent with the construction of the primary structure. I'd like a definition of consistent. What does that mean? Because your definition is different than mine, apparently.
I think you bring up a very good point. There is not a specificity to that. It speaks to consistency.
So
So
it
if it
means
has
nothing then.
shingles and siding,
Pardon?
if it has shingles and siding, there's some consistency there.
So again, I would bring that up, like I said earlier, to the city council meeting that you've
Yeah.
got and discuss that with them.
It has shingles and siding.
Well,
Yes.
I am saying that you bring up a good point, that there is not a level of specificity there. It doesn't delve into, must have a frost-free footing and foundation.
Yeah. It must not be up on skids.
The-
Must
the
not
ci-
have ramps.
But the city inspection process makes interpretations on consistency when they review these and I guess, distribute the permits, geez.
The building
Correct.
inspector is to review the plan.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's checks and balances in place there to interpret what consistency means.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you really can't give me a definition then, other than it's something very general and so we might as well not even have that in the code. Doesn't mean anything.
I think that, as we point out, there is not a very specific definition that's provided there. It speaks to consistency.
Maybe that's something we need to look at.
Yeah.
Just like you saw earlier, we changed, it's very common for us to change something in the code and to change it to make it more specific, make it clear, whatever the case may be. So maybe this is one of those things that we need to look at.
Okay, because in my opinion, the previous case, it had more, you guys said the only issue was that it was a corner lot. That's not the only issue. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to address the ZBA? Okay. And restate your name for me, please.
It's Charles Pierman.
Thank you, and will you raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is this on a non-agenda item?
I would like to get an understanding of some of the process. What I've learned tonight, or what I'm hearing tonight, is that if I want to put a structure in my front yard, even though I have ample room in my backyard, I can do that. With you're shaking your head, no, but if I come it to the board, I'm going to rubber stamp it and put it back to the city to decide that. So I'm not sure that process works, or it's an automatic.
Well, first of all, we didn't rubber stamp it. For one, it wasn't a unanimous vote.
I'm sorry, what?
We did not rubber stamp it. For one, it wasn't a unanimous vote.
I couldn't hear all the votes.
Well, there was one no
But
vote.
But I'm asking the question. I have the need for a shed, and I want to put it where it's convenient for me, not in my backyard. And even though the city may have given me permit unknowingly, and I do it, I'm going to get approval from the zoning back to the city to let them decide. So
Well, the only-
that's
Not necessarily.
That's kind of what I learned tonight.
Well, the only time it comes to the zoning board is if someone needs a special use or a variance or
Well-
whatever. We don't get involved in just the typical run-of-the-mill shed installations.
I know, but
Okay.
if I come to you asking to put my shed in my front yard, what I heard tonight, even though I can put it elsewhere, is I'll get it, at least your approval in this process. And I don't understand that. I really don't, and I'm trying to. I mean, I know the couple personally that brought the issue up here tonight, but I'm not against them. All I'm doing is saying enforce the laws or the rules that we have. Now, if I didn't have ample room in my backyard and I needed that shed, fine. Or at least a reasonable one. That's all I'm saying. And we didn't get that tonight. We, the citizens of East Peoria, the residents of Star Rim, and the residents of Vanaken, did not get that from the Zoning Board of Appeals tonight. So, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the ZBA on a non-agenda item? Okay, seeing no one, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting for May 13th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.